going to be on things that I think are essential in every good cook's kitchen. And I'm not talking about those fancy smancy expensive things. I'm talking about things that everybody uses, can use, and usually has already in their home. If not, they're not that expensive to go and get. So one of the first things, an apron. And I have several that I use. My friends buy them for me because when I cook dinners and meals for my friends when they come on for overnight stays or just for dinner, I believe in keeping my clothes, even though most of the time I'm wearing t-shirts. Life is Good t-shirts, my favorite thing in the world since the quarantine started. I think they're important because I don't know a single cook that can cook without getting splattered. So an apron, your first investment. And if you're really crafty and you can make your own, great. I'm going to be trying that as we go along to see if I can get some aprons made for the show for fun. So other things that are handy dandy, a box shredder. So this shredder has 4 sides. It has a really fine side, like you would use for Parmesan cheese if you were trying to grate it really super fine. Then it has a medium size, which can be used for vegetables or cheese. Again, it's a little rougher on the rasp, so I would use it more for vegetables. Then it has a slicing side, so you could use this for cheese, you could use it for potatoes, carrots, anything that you need a uniform slice on. And then it has what I call the cheese side, which is the larger grate side. Most box cutters come with an attachment for the bottom, so it can store up to 1 cup of shredded goods. This one has it, I just don't know where it's at in the kitchen right now. A carafe. These usually come with the Italian dressing that you can buy in the store that comes with a carafe. I always recommend at least buying 1 box of that so that you get this carafe, because you can make your own vinaigrettes for 1 or 2. You can use it to store oil for when you're cooking. You can simply pour without having to have a whole bottle of olive oil on the counter. Other things are glass bowls, varying sizes, so you can see the different sizes. I have dozens of these. The purpose of these is when I start a new recipe or if I'm baking, I put all my ingredients in glass bowls appropriate to the size. So this would be a cup of flour, this would be a ½ a cup of flour, and this would be a tablespoon of flour. And I do that so that when I'm baking, I have all my ingredients in front of me, and that way I know which ones I've used so I don't forget, like to put salt in a recipe or to put sugar in a recipe. And again, glass bowls, and all different sizes. I get them at the dollar store. Dollar General, they're usually like 25–50 cents a bowl. Don't go spend a lot of fancy money on it. A scale, a digital scale. And I'm not going to give you name brands unless it's something that I really, really love. This one I really enjoy. I have 2 of them. I have one from Oxo Good Grips, and I have this one. So most people don't know the tare button on a scale, which is the T-A-R-E. So if you put the scale down and you turn it on, you hit the tare button, zero it out. You can put a glass bowl on it, and then you tear it out, and then you can put your ingredients in. For this, I'll put a tomato in, and it tells me this tomato weighs 249 milliliters. So what I need to do is switch it over to pounds. I didn't realize when I picked up, you can do grams, pounds, kilograms. There it is, pounds. So when I put it back, it tells me this tomato is a little over ½ a pound. The purpose of that, the tare button, is so A, you can weigh your ingredients, which is really important, especially in baking. I prefer weighing over measuring. You can weigh your ingredients, and that way you have a more accurate count. So like you wouldn't pour flour on the scale. It would be impossible. Well, it wouldn't be impossible, but it would be hard to clean up afterwards. So you would simply put your bowl on, hit tare, and then you could put your flour into the bowl. Now, I'm going to show you another trick with tare. So we said that this tomato weighs a little over ½ a pound. If I hit tare again, with the tomato sitting in the bowl, it already knows how much that weighs. Now, if I wanted to say that my recipe called for another 8 ounces of cheddar cheese, and I'll use a potato to replace the cheddar cheese, I could simply put the cheddar cheese on top of the flour, and it would tell me that I've now put in 6.4 ounces of cheddar cheese, and so that I need to add more cheddar cheese to the recipe, and it'll stack the ingredients. So when you're baking, that's why a scale is important. Make sure you pick a scale that has a wide enough weighing platform like this one, so you could put a large plate, so you could basically put a roast or a large mixing bowl and still see the scale part. That's very important. Okay, so digital scale, cheese grater, glass bowls. Those are all going to be used in today's cooking recipe, which we're going to do in a little while, and that's my list of things that you need in the kitchen today. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Like I said, I don't use fancy stuff. There are some things that I buy that I have spent a lot of money on, but I've had them for 15 or 20 years now. My Vitamix, I've had it for 17 years. I just gifted it to a friend because it still has a lot of life in it. My Cuisinart, again, I bought that probably 17 years ago. It was $300 when I bought it. It still works, so I've definitely made my money on it. Other things are good pans, so I'm going to step back here. Some of my pans, I use all-clad for stainless steel. Cuisinart is very good on stainless steel, but again, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Just find something that you like and you're comfortable with. I have probably 20 frying or saute pans, all different sizes, anywhere from 6-inch to 14-inch, and I use them for different things. This is my everyday pan. As cooking for one, this size pan is absolutely perfect. I can do almost everything in this pan. And browning, you can't beat stainless steel or cast iron for browning. And then cast iron, so I have two different kinds of cast iron. I have this one right here that has a wooden handle. I love this. It's more lightweight. It's not as heavy duty as normal cast iron. I do have, and I'll look at my oven and my shame here. I do have a Lodge 12-inch cast iron pan that I've had for 25 to 30, it's about 30 years I've had that cast iron pan. And things to remember about cast iron pans is do not put soap in them, ever. You just simply wash them with hot water. If something does happen, if soap gets on them or you haven't kept them oiled, you can re-season them. And I know that Lodge now sells pans that are pre-seasoned. They're a little more expensive, but they're already seasoned and ready to go. So I recommend if you don't have a cast iron pan, you get one of those, because there's so many uses for cast iron. The only things that you have to remember is don't use acidy foods like vinegar and tomato in them, because it will strip the seasoning and you'll have to re-season it. But you can fry an egg in it and it'll slide off just like nonstick if it's seasoned properly. So you can restore pans, like if you're out at a thrift store and you find a really good old antique or vintage cast iron pan and it's got some rust on it and it's really cheap, buy it, because take it home, go online to Lodge, follow the instructions to re-season the pan. It'll be basically scrub it with steel wool to get all the rust off of it, and then re-season it in the oven. And you'll have a wonderful pan that'll last for years and years and years. Like I said, mine is probably 30 years old. I got it when I was very young, living in Utah with my mom and my brother. So that's going to be it for right now. I'm going to do more filming in a little bit of actually making dinner. Sunday is my prep day for the week, and unlike people that prep for an entire family, I'm prepping for myself. So, and I don't want to eat the same food all week. So tonight we're going to have tortellini Alfredo with broccoli. So I use Barilla tortellini. Barilla is really cool. If you go to their website, they have a playlist for their pastas. So every single pasta has a playlist. So if you put it on Spotify or any of your music stations, you put the pasta in the boiling water, put the playlist on. When the songs are done, the pasta is done. So that's a really cool trick from Barilla. because I know everybody gets confused over pasta cooking time. So tonight we're having cheese and spinach tortellini with an Alfredo sauce and broccoli, one of the easiest meals to make. And I'm going to prepare 2 portions, so I can have one tonight, and then I can have one later in the week, and I can add something to it like chicken to make it a little different. I'm going to prepare 2 hamburger patties that I picked up at the grocery store. One of my special little tricks with hamburger patties, and I'll tell you all about that later. I'm going to cook those because this week I'm going to make patty melts, so I'm going to saute onions to go with those. And then I'm going to use one of the hamburger patties to make stuffed pepper because I really enjoy stuffed pepper. So I'll have at least 3 meals prepped for the week, and then I'm going to think about what I'm going to do for the 4th. So I'll talk to you all in a little bit. Thanks a lot.